Hey, band directors, it's Duane Huff with Band Leadership Seminars, Band Leadership Online, going live again today to answer a question from one of your fellow colleagues, band directors. And here's a question. I'll read it to you as I have it up in the comments. If you're watching replay, you can see it. But the question was, what are more ways for them to view the band setting as win-win? How can I develop more servant leaders in my group? And that's kind of a twofold question, but I think we can answer it with one approach to kind of capture both of these here. Actually, I'll do two different things, right? And then I'll share a story. Before I forget, listen, I just started to announce that I'm going to, 2019 tour. I'm looking for 10 to 15 host schools to host me for a multi-school seminar / clinic that will be only $25 per student with no back-end commitment. And if we get enough interest, we do it. If we don't, we don't. But if you're interested in being potential host school, shoot a message to me through this channel, drop me in the comments, or send me an email at duane@rduanehuff.com, and we'll have a conversation about that. I'll send you all the details. And if you want to do it, great. If not, no big deal. All right, so answering the question, how do we create more of a win-win environment in the band, and how do I develop more servant leaders? And so I don't know if you know my background. I don't know if you're watching here and you're familiar with me yet. If this is the first time we're meeting, hello, well, welcome. Stay around. I think you're going to like this. But I've traveled the country working with high school and college band programs. Been doing it for 7 years. My background is a 9-time student leader, 6-time drum major, which basically makes me a unicorn. I know. I'm sorry. Kids like it. Whatever. So, but the point being is that I went on a journey after I finished my leadership saying, how can I make this even more effective and better for student leaders? And how do I help them, even though they don't have that prefrontal cortex and they can't make great decisions because they're not there yet? How do I give them things that will allow them to incorporate principles that will have good outcomes, whether they understand it or not? Then that's been the experiment for the last 7 years, and it's paid off phenomenally. And so what I'm going to share with you right here, and oh, by the way, if you're here with me and you want to ask a question, drop it in the comments. Feel free to interrupt me. I'll see it and I'll answer it. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to weigh in, add your comments, whatever it is, add your insight if you're a band director here, because it's not just about what I'm saying. It's about the wisdom and collective good of everyone who experiences this. But what I came to find out through trial and error is one of the things that we do in my live seminars, the single school, the multi-school, and even in my online course is that we play a game. I do a team building game with the students where I put them in a game where they think that they're in a competition. And then we go through this whole game. There's a lot of moving parts. They're very competitive. They're trying to solve a problem, and they're all thinking in that moment, because they're competitive by nature. They're thinking that they're in a competition and that only one team can win. And the way I set up the whole game is it's not a competition. In fact, if they don't all work together, even though they're separated into multiple teams, if they don't all work together to create a true win-win outcome, then everybody fails. And at the end, we debrief a lot of things, that there are assumptions going on, that information is power. But at the end of the day, what they come to realize better than you and I could ever teach them is that experience of, if you guys are competing, you're all on the same team. A band is a family, a team, a community. You're all on the same team. And if at any point you're competing with each other, against each other, backbiting, gossiping, stabbing, pulling against each other, whatever the case might be, everybody loses, and the effectiveness of your band drops down right here. So with that being said, you could run over to bandleadershipseminars.com, see how to get involved in the online course or the live event, and you would have that experience of that game. But let me just give it to you this. Do some research. Look on Google. Dig into different leadership development magazines, do the research to find it, but find a game that you can put them into that's a team building experience, where they think they're in a competition or they're pitted against each other, where they feel like they're in a competition. But at the end of the day, the lesson teaches them that if they're not all working together 100% of the time, pulling in the same direction, then as a result, everybody loses. And after you've had that experience, then debrief it by asking them, how did you feel? What did you experience? What were you thinking? How are you feeling? What did you notice about your peers? What did you notice about yourself? And when you have those questions ready to go and you facilitate that conversation, all of a sudden, you're going to see that light bulbs go off, the aha moments. You're going to see where your students are, what they're thinking, where they are in the leadership journey, versus where you need them to be and how you need to bridge that gap. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing about how do I develop more leaders, or I'm sorry, servant leaders in my band is number one, build upon that game. And I'll tell you how to do that in just a moment. But the other thing is that you have to get clear on what you expect, want, and need from servant leaders in your band and what that looks like to you. You know, if somebody said, hey, you know, this is your band program and you want servant leaders, how does that look? What do you want? What qualities do you want them to have? What do you want to do? What do you want them to experience? And what example do you want them to set? And then slowly over time, have conversations where you actually teach them what that's about, and then have dialogue with them, open conversations, facilitate conversations, and say, hey guys, you know, whenever you've seen leaders in the past, this year, last year, the year before, you know, what were some of the things that you loved about your leaders? And let them tell you, and then say, what were some of the things that you didn't particularly like in some of the leaders you wouldn't follow, and let them tell you. And let that be the self-realization that a lot of those things had to do with being a servant leader, being selfless, being centered on others. And here's where I'll wrap that back in. The way I do it is after we get finished with that game where they think they were in a competition, where they come to realization that they weren't, is I say, guys, your band experience is just like this. And I say, so write down on a piece of paper, if you could get 3 things that you absolutely wanted to experience from your marching band season this year, what would they be? Write them down on a piece of paper. Excuse me, let me get some water. And then say, okay, now here's what I want you to do with it in mind, that if we compete against each other, everybody loses. But if we all pull together, everybody wins together as a team. Realizing that if we're constantly competing against each other, the team's not strong enough to fight the outside forces of the competitive bands we're up against, or the situations we're up against. Keeping that in mind, realizing that those 3 things that you said you wanted, needed, and expected from your marching band experience, let's use a metaphor and say that those 3 things we take and we put in a box and we call it a present. How many of you have a best friend? Me. Great. Imagine for a second that your best friend told you exactly what they wanted for their birthday. And so you did everything you could to go out and get it, and you finally found it, and you were so excited. But it was the last moment when you actually got that gift, and it was in a brown box, which is cool. You could hand it over to them, but you didn't want to do that. You needed to wrap it. And so you ran home anticipating that there was going to be some birthday paper that you would wrap it in. When you get home, what you realize is there's no birthday paper. The only thing left is Christmas paper. So, hey, some paper's better than no, sorry about that. Some paper's better than no paper. I'm going to wrap this real nice and neat, and I'm going to head off to the birthday party because I'm going to be late if I don't. You get there. You get in front of your friend, and it's their birthday, and you run up to them, you go, oh my God, I got you the perfect gift here. And you put it in front of them, and they look at you like you're crazy. You're like, okay. They're like, okay, and they take it, and they put it aside, and you're like, no, open it right now. You're like, no, it's cool. I'll open it later. I mean, it's not real. No. It's I just open it. And they're like, no. And I ask the students, I say, let me ask you a question. How many times have you ever tried to do something for one of your friends, say something to one of your friends, give something, offer something, create something for them, only to have them say, no, thank you, don't want it, don't need it, or completely reject you? How many of you ever had that experience? And they say, I say, how does that make you feel? And they say everything from lousy to miserable to rejected. I say, okay, well, why did that happen? And ultimately, the conversation comes back to that game we were playing. They say, well, we were trying to give them things that they didn't necessarily want. I said, okay, great. Well, what should we have asked them? And the answer is, what do you want? I say, okay, so what we're basically doing many times when we're trying to lead and we're trying to serve, or we're trying to be a leader, is many times we're telling people what to do. We're directing, we're pushing. If they're not agreeing with us, we're creating drama, we're getting in their face, and we're trying to hoard over them our authority. But if we would simply understand what it is they want, what they need, what they expect from their marching band experience, i.e. the same things that you put in your box, those 3 things that we listed, and we knew what it was that they were trying to experience, and we could help them get that or help them get more of it, then in essence, we're giving them the greatest gift that we could give them, because we're helping them to get the things they value most in their marching band experience. I said, so here's how you have the number 1 Here's how you had the best experience you could possibly have this marching band season. Instead of you trying to unwrap your gift and get in there and get those 3 things, I want mine, I want mine, I want mine, compete, compete, compete. Instead, as a servant leader, you realize the only way that I'm getting what I want out of that box is to every day go out and make it my job as a servant leader to help every person I can in their band get what they value most, need, want, and expect from their marching band experience. And if I'll take my eyes off of myself, leadership is not about us. It's about them. It's never about us. If I'll take my eyes off of myself and I'll go out there and help every member of my band and my band director have a greater experience, give myself, dedicate to serving them, taking my eyes off of what I need, want, and expect. When I come to the end of that marching band season, I'm going to come back to my gift where those 3 things were listed. And that box is going to be bigger than I can ever imagine. There's going to be things in there I didn't even know I wanted that were even greater than what I wished for before. And so that's a metaphor I use on top of that game to show students better than I could tell them that leadership is a gift we give to others, and the reward comes back to us in the feeling, in the experience, and then the legacy that we leave for the band and for our peers. And I tell students all the time, I say, you got to be really careful about how you treat the people here in the band, in your school, at home, in the community, because you never know who those people will become in your life. And as adults, we know, we've seen it. And then I ask the students, I say, if you knew or had to guess, look around here. All these people are going to become one of 3 people. Can you guess who they are? And eventually it comes up, they say, well, they could be your coworker. Yep. Or they could be your boss. Yep. And the room goes, oh. And then I say, or what? And somebody goes, your spouse? And the whole room goes, oh. And so what I try to tell them is not only is the reward immediate for going out and serving, leaving that legacy and seeing the whole band rise together, but it pays off for a lifetime. And so servant leadership starts now in a ready-made laboratory by forgetting self, humbling ourselves, not thinking less of ourselves, but thinking of ourselves less, pouring ourselves into the dedication of the people around us and the band director and the program, and seeing the reward and the payoff of how we feel in serving others, how they feel as a result of achieving the goals and dreams that they have, and then how it feels to see the band program, the school, the community grow as a result of our efforts and selfless acts. So I hope that answered that question effectively. If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. If you have a story, an example, experience about how to develop and grow student leaders, or if you're a student watching this and you have a story or an example about how you came through this process, feel free to share it. If you have any questions, please. If you got value from this video, there's a lot of band directors out there who still do not know who I am. I know, right? And just say, he's the unicorn. And share this with them, because I have a tour coming up 2019. I put out a message to my list today and I started putting it out on Facebook here. I'm looking for 10 to 15. I'll stretch it to 20 if we need to, but 10 to 15 people to host a multi-school event. And I'll send you all the details about it, $25 per student. And if we can get enough interest in your area, we run the thing. And if for some reason we don't get the interest, then we don't do anything and nobody's off the hook. Nobody's on the hook for anything. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you're enjoying these videos, if you think I'd be a good asset to your band and the community around, we can do a multi-school event. Just reach out to me. I'll send you all the details. Either send me an email at duane@rduanehuff.com. I have it in the notes. After this ends, you'll see it if you're watching the replay, or send me a message through this page and I will do that. I just shot a video before this one to your students, so you'll probably see it underneath this video if you're watching replay. I addressed the topic, how you do anything is how you do everything, and I really put an emphasis on being consistent in attitude and example and work ethic and practice. So if you're a band director and you feel that that would serve your bands, make sure you grab that video, post it on your band Facebook page, share it, send it out, share it with colleagues, and let's spread this message of servant leadership so we can turn more students this year into student leaders that are servant leaders and perpetuate this whole community, family, and team of band. And remember, you can inspire superior performance. So can your students. They just got to be willing to make the commitment, fully understand that they're not competing against each other, and have some fun creating competitive games that ultimately show us that we're all there on the same team, ready to win and go out every day and help our fellow band members or peers or band directors win at a higher level. And that's what it all comes to create a win-win outcome and be servants from the very essence of the word. Stay tuned. If you haven't liked this page, like it. You'll see every time I go live, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts and your comments. If you're interested in being on that tour, being a host on that tour, reach out to me. Let me know you're interested, and I'll send you the information. Until we talk again, have a great evening. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.